Hey guys, it's Ryan Holman, founder of Sales Recruiting University, back with another screenshot video. This client recruited 5 people in one day in just a few hours, and I'm going to tell you exactly how they did that. So let's see what this team member said. So this is Julianne. She's an SRU full-time employee, and one of her clients was this guy, Dan. So Dan would like to close the ads in the Mesquite area as they hired 5 people during their first round of interviews. I paused the ads and closed Calendly because he does not want to recruit in Mesquite for the time being. So we're running a few markets for them, a few sales offices that they're building. And in this case, they hit their immediate goals. And so we turned off recruiting for Mesquite. I believe that's in Texas. So anyways, how did they actually recruit people, 5 people, with just within a few hours? So our model, if you're not familiar with it already, consists of advertisements, a screening and scheduling process, pushing all the best candidates from a background perspective into a group presentation. The client goes through an 8-step group interview presentation that we've built out, through a PowerPoint presentation, also through a script that we train them on. They pitch the dream. Typically 50% of the candidates in the group presentation want to take next steps. The client funnels them into a one-on-one right after the group presentation and closes whoever they close. Now, in this case, literally in their first group interview, they had a bunch of people show up. It turned into, almost 10 final interviews, and they signed 5 reps on the spot to start Monday. Now, for some context, this is a commission-based roofing door-to-door sales company where reps need to self-generate and close their own deals. Our company, we don't, help industry-specific companies. We just help companies that are building commission-based or primarily commission-based sales opportunities. We're not industry specific because the recruiting process is all the same. The only difference is the sales cycle, right? So in a direct-to-consumer model, which is about 50% of our clients, it's typically going to be a shorter sales cycle than maybe a B2B sales cycle, which is a longer sales cycle. So as an example, our SRU sales cycle, like within our sales team, is like 2 to 4 weeks. Well, in this case, it's like 1 to 2 days, right? So those are kind of the only differences within building a sales team. Obviously, if you have the same sales rep and they have a sales cycle that is 2 days versus a sales cycle that's, hypothetically 2 weeks or 2 months, obviously them ramping up into a commission-based sales opportunity with the shorter sales cycle is going to be easier, which is going to result into higher retention and less attrition for the company as they recruit. So hopefully that makes sense. The other difference, of course, would be the quality of onboarding, training, leadership that they experience, the new hires experience as they come into the organization. But in this case, it was a commission-based door-to-door direct-to-consumer sales force. And literally they showed up to one group interview that we scheduled them. They had 5 to 10 people that were interested. They ended up closing 5 people to start on Monday. And they'll probably have some attrition going into onboarding. So when you're building a commission-based sales force and onboarding reps into an opportunity like this, the reality is when you get really good at recruiting, which this company did, they highly committed to going through the training, taking our leadership to get good at the group presentation, the final face-to-face interview. So they got really good immediately at closing people. But what happens from a candidate's perspective is candidates get kind of emotionally really bought in because the presenter is doing so good in the recruiting process. And maybe that turns into some attrition going into onboarding. And so my point is they sign 5 reps, right, to start on Monday. But in reality, they'll probably have 4 people actually show up on Monday because one of them will get buyer's remorse, but from like a recruiting perspective, if that makes sense. So to kind of, follow that a little bit, it's good. It's not required, but it's good to start people in a commission-based sales environment sooner rather than later. As an example, if you come into a group presentation and I pitch you on a door-to-door sales opportunity where you're self-generating and closing your own leads, you have no training pay, but the industry, the culture, the company story, the plans for growth in the future, the income opportunity, the career advancement opportunity, if all those things sound sexy enough and you say yes, well, the reality is I want to keep you in that good mindset as long as possible. And the sooner that I start you into onboarding, the better I have a chance as a company to retain you, right? If your onboarding is in 3 days, I have a better chance to retain you into onboarding versus if it was 3 weeks away. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen. Now, the cycles that you do for onboarding really depend on your sales cycle, how many people you want to recruit, what kind of cash investment into maybe training or leading, leads and stuff like that, how much human resources you have from a leadership perspective. But at a high level, it's good to know starting reps sooner rather than later is obviously a beneficial thing, especially in a commission-based sales environment. Now, to kind of paint a picture, this company, they did their group interview. They funneled people into final interviews for 30 minutes. They signed 5 reps, probably four will show up on Monday. And then most likely out of those 4, because it's a commission-based and door-to-door sales opportunity, most likely 2 or 3 out of those 4 are going to cycle out within the first 30 days, and they're going to retain 1 and maybe 2 reps out of that initial 5 groups that they signed. That's really what it looks like, especially in an opportunity like this. Maybe if they had training, pay, or leads, and it was easier for the rep to have success in onboarding, maybe their retention would be higher. But hopefully this video made sense in terms of painting a picture of what it looks like from a numbers perspective to actually onboard some reps. Hopefully you got value from this today. If you did, subscribe, like, and share. And we'll look forward to getting you more of these soon.